Chapter 16 Shri Gurudev Dutt Parabrahmane Namaha. Service by three disciples of Sage Dhaumya at his ashram. Namadharaka earnestly prayed to Sage Siddha thus: Hey Master, hail victory to you. I want to know more about Guruji and his glories. Hence, kindly elaborate Shri Guru Charitra to me. Then Sage Siddha said, Hey, the jewel among the disciples, Namadharaka. Really, you are well fated to be blessed with devotion towards Guru. Due to your meeting with me, I am reminded of all the aspects of Shri Guru Charitra. You have done a great favor to me. The real wealth in one's life is to earn Guru Kripa. That is the easiest means for salvation. Now I am going to elaborate to you in detail Shri Guru Charitra. Listen to it with rapt attention. After the departure of disciples for pilgrimage at the instance of Sri Narsingh Saraswati Guruji, he stayed in the vicinity of Vaidyanath in the seclusion for 1 year. That time myself named Siddha alone stayed with him to be in his service. The temple at the Vaidyanath was very attractive and excellent. During his stay there, one day a learned Brahmin sage arrived and met Guruji. He venerated before him with a devoted mind humbly. He also eulogized him by different ways. Then he prayed before Guruji thus: O Sadgurunatha, kindly elevate me. I am sinking in the ocean called ignorance. Save me from that. I have mastered Vedas, Vedanta, and observed penance. Even though I have practiced penance for a long period, my mind is in a miserable condition and here fit. Even though I have practiced penance for a long period, my mind is in a miserable condition. I have not yet had even a glimpse of the light of knowledge. I do not know anything about myself. Please impart self knowledge to me. Without knowledge, there is no salvation for distress, affliction. Today is the luckiest day for me. I am really fortunate to have your vision. My mind is purified and delighted today. So far, I have not served the all goodly Guru, as a result of which my mind is engrossed in the pursuit of sensual pleasures and is not stabilized. Hey Gurudeva, I am a dullard. You are the God in the form of an explicit principle. Therefore, be kind enough to preach me a settled principle in simple words to enable me to comprehend the same. I am unable to understand the principle related to Guru. Then Shri Guruji smiled and questioned him. O Brahmin, how did you become a sage without serving the Guru and seeking his blessings? How did you achieve all this without a Guru? Hearing this, the Brahmin got stunned for a moment. His eyes were filled with tears and voice choked with emotions. His agony skimmed. The Brahmin shedded tears, started giving an account of himself. Hey master, I have a Guru who is very harsh in nature. He always speaks in overbearing and unkind manner. He instructs me to render services which are not worth rendering. I suffered a lot under him. Even though I served him by toiling my blood and with all the sincerity, day and night, he did not impart any sacred knowledge to me. Though I was in the company of a preceptor for a pretty long period, I could not make any progress on the path of spirituality. He used to condemn me, often by saying, Hey Brahmin, even though you are in my company for such a long time, your mind is not yet settled. You do not have any qualification to be a worthy disciple. Therefore, I am not imparting you the principle of sacred knowledge. I was fed up with his rude behavior, and as a result, there was delusion in my reverence towards him. He used to downgrade me. I served him to the best of my ability by tolerating all the trouble that he gave me. Finally, thinking that it would be futile to be with him, I have abandoned him and have come here to seek your shelter. After listening to his episode, Guruji smilingly said, O Brahmin, you are a foolish and thoughtless disciple. You are unfit to become a disciple. You are guilty of self-murder. You are not aware of your own limitations. Still, you have not realized your follies. The self-knowledge is imparted only to those who are flawless. You are talking all rubbish things about your Guru, assuming him to be an ordinary human being. You are not yet introduced to Guru properly. You have committed perfectly against Guru by body, speech and mind. By finding out the non-existent, invalid and petty flaws of Guru, you have indulged yourself in condemning him. Therefore, you are not progressing on spiritual plane. Unfortunately, you have still not realized your mistake as you never did self-introspection. The aspirant who once accepts a guru must not go on changing his guru abruptly. The guru once accepted is guru forever and in all conditions. Finding faults with one's own guru, a disciple should not abandon the accepted guru. One must not defame his guru by criticizing him and making anti-propaganda against him. The disciple should be very cautious to see that he, by his behavior, does not bring any disrepute, dishonor, discredit to Guru's position and name. He should offer everything to Guru in a spirit of self-surrender. He should engage in the service of Guru by exercising maximum patience and restrain himself from offensive behavior. Behaving this way, he should acquire sacred knowledge. Why are you in search of a guru when you already have a guru like a celestial cow? After listening to the words of Guru, that Brahmin ascetic repented deeply. In a submissive tone, he prayed thus: O the ocean of knowledge, I am a stupid fellow. Being ignorant, I fail to recognize my Guru. Kindly enlighten me in the matter relating to the true nature of Guru, the manner to identify him, the importance of Guru's grace, and all other matters related to Guru. Be kind enough to clear all my doubts and elevate me from darkness. After listening to what the Brahmin said, Shri Guruji felt pity on him. He started commenting in detail about Guru by citing several examples, so that his devotion stabilized at the lotus feet of Guru. Hey Brahmin, the aspirant should consider Guru himself as the form of Trinity and get engaged in his service devotedly as a commitment towards God. The secret of spiritual life and the best mode of accomplishment for a disciple are to obey the words of Guru in toto. Unless one empties his mind from all petty thoughts and serves Guru, he does not qualify himself for Guru's sermon. The aspirant should take Guru himself as personification of Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara and be in her service with deep faith and devotion. Service towards Guru is the best means to get rid of all the flaws and negative virtues that hinder the disciple's progress. Service is the secret means of progress. Sincere service by the disciple delights Guru immensely. Without Guru's grace, the disciple cannot make any progress on the spiritual path. Unless one qualifies for Guru's grace, his knowledge about Vedas and scriptures, his scholarship and qualifications are futile. In the first chapter of epic Mahabharata, there are instances which narrate the services rendered by disciples to their preceptors in an exemplary manner. The services which they offered with utmost devotion and feelings are worth quoting. Now I am going to narrate to you that story. Listen to me attentively. In the era Dwapara, several disciples were staying at the Gurukul of sage Dhaumya in sacred Dwaravati in order to pursue studies in Vedas and scriptures. All of them were class and committed disciples. The prominent amongst them were three disciples by names Aruna Panchali, Baida, and Upmanyu. They had in them all the ideal qualities that the disciples are expected to possess, like strong determination, deep faith, duty, consciousness, intense urge, uncompromising commitment to principles, stimuli, zeal, integrity, self-sacrificial tendencies, and such other many more noble virtues. During their tenure of service and learning to Gurukula, the preceptors used to test the qualities of their disciples and assess the progress made by them from time to time. As per this practice, the disciples were graced by Guru only when the Guru ascertained that their mind was stabilized on the ultimate truth. Once sage Dhaumya felt like testing the disciples. With that intention, he called a disciple by name Aruna Panchali and told him to instantly go to the field of his ashram, which was located in the forest. He was instructed him to divert the flow of water into his fields in such a way that the drying paddy crop was fully irrigated. The disciple, without any second thought, left for the field immediately. As the field of Guru was above the pond level, the water was not flowing into his field in spite of the fact that the canals were overflowing with abundant water. Incidentally, the water was flowing beneath the field. To see that the water flowed into the field of his Guru, he arranged for big rocks to block the water flowing in the canal so that it could flow into the field freely. He tried his level best by several means but could not succeed in accomplishing the objective in the end. The rocks that were arranged in the canals to block the flow of water got washed away due to the powerful current of water. But determined, the disciple was prepared even for sacrificing himself for the sake of carrying out his Guru's instructions. To find out a suitable solution, he remembered his Guru. Unable to stop the flow by another means, as a last resort, he lied down in the canal so as to block the flow of water by stretching his hands to one end of the canal and another through his legs and pressed by using all his might. Due to his relentless efforts, finally water flowed from that stream into the field of Guru. As he had earmarked his body for the service of his Guru, he did not get out from the scene even though it was evening time. Having learned that the disciple did not return to ashram, the sage Dhaumya got terribly upset. Searching for him throughout the way, he arrived at the field. He was immensely delighted to see the water flowing into his field. However, his disciple Arun Panchali was not to be seen anywhere. The sage was a little bit worried about the life of his disciple. Even then, mustering courage, he called him by his name in a pained tone. Hearing the voice of his Guru, the disciple got up at once from the canal and rushed towards his Guru. The disciple respectfully saluted him. Sage Dhaumya affectionately embraced him. Tears of joy spurted from his eyes. He was very much impressed by his disciple's sacrificial tendencies and keenness to obey the command of Guru. He was kindly disposed towards him. In a delighted tone, the sage said, "My dear disciple, by obeying the words of your Guru and without caring for your body, you have served Guru heartily, thereby encountering several difficulties. The Holy Trinity is pleased with your service to Guru. Let all knowledge be endowed to you instantly. You shall lead a happy and peaceful life of a householder." So saying, he blessed him with knowledge of all Vedas and scriptures. The disciple acquired the eternal knowledge. His voice fructified. The disciple saluted the master with devotion and, seeking his consent, left for his hometown. Later, the disciple became a sage well known by the name Uddhalaka. Thereafter, Sage Dhaumya wanted to test his another disciple by name Baida. He called him and instructed thus: "Dear disciple, now you should leave for my field, which is located in the outskirts, along with the cattle, and take care of the field and cattle throughout the day. See that the cattle is protected from the ensuing calamities. You also must guard my field. When the crop is ripe, you shall also see to it that the same is transported to my hut." The ever-ready disciple Baida was a dedicated servant of Guru. He happily moved away from that place to the field. He guarded the field day and night till the crop was ripe and due for harvesting. Abdicating petty thoughts from his mind, he, by body, speech, and mind, performed his duty, which is a form of service to Guru. Throughout the day, when the crop was ripe, he harvested and, after winnowing it, arranged for packing. By the time he finished, it was a terrible midnight time. The disciple Baida went to ashram and informed Guruji about the matter. To transport the grains from the field to the ashram, he took one cart and a buffalo to the field. He loaded the grains into the cart. He tied the buffalo to one side of the yoke of that cart and, taking the other side of the yoke on his shoulder, started pulling it with the sole object of shifting the grains to the ashram. Somehow, Baida could not match with the speed of the buffalo. He found it very difficult to pull the cart along with the buffalo. After covering some distance, the buffalo pulled the cart towards a pond and got trapped in the slush. Baida then untied the buffalo from the yoke and, on the strength of his Guru's grace, started pulling the cart. As the cart was fully loaded with grains, while pulling, he had the feeling as if his neck was revolved by the rope. Due to heavy weight of the cart, he experienced deadly pain while pulling. Though he was in a dying state, with the determined mind, efforts, and without giving up his hopes, he started pulling the cart vigorously. Sage Dhaumya, through his divine vision, learnt everything about the situation and appeared before his disciple. Looking at his miserable condition and the pains undertaken to carry out his instructions, his heart melted and he felt pity on him. He glanced at him through his graceful vision and untied his body from the knot of the rope. He embraced Beda intimately. He was pleased with his devotion towards Guru. Referring to him, the sage said, O disciple Beda, be enlightened and learned in Vedas and scriptures. Thus blessed and granted a boon to him. By the grace of Guru, he got acquainted with all the knowledge. He was fully educated. He saluted Guru Dhaumya with a filled heart and seeking his permission, left for his home. The third disciple of Guru Dhaumya, named Upamanyu, was vigorously and deeply engrossed in the service of Guru. He was a very faithful and devoted disciple. However, he was in the habit of consuming excessive food and always bothered about his stomach only. Therefore, he could not learn what was taught to him in Gurukula. Due to his indolence and poor grasping ability, he was not in a position to digest and grasp the lessons he learnt. He was not keen on learning. With a view to effecting transformation in him, once Guru Dhaumya called upon Upamanyu and so said, Dear son, take my cattle to the forest area for grazing, and after grazing return to my ashram along with the cattle before sunset. As per the instructions of his guru, the disciple used to take the cattle to the forest area for grazing. He was sincerely and happily grazing them. However, whenever he used to feel hungry, he was returning to the ashram before the designated time along with the cattle. The sage Dhaumya became furious by his disciple's behavior and warned him to see that he must enable the cattle to graze until the sunset and only after grazing return to the ashram. The disciple adhered to Guruji's instructions. He was taking care of the cattle from morning to evening in a devoted manner by consistently remembering his Guru. However, he could not bear the hardship caused by excessive hunger anymore. Leaving the cattle to their fate, he started visiting the homes of Brahmins located nearby and by seeking food from them, used to quell his hunger. Guru Dhaumya once asked him the reason as to how he was looking well nourished and putting on weight even though he remained without food throughout the day. The truthful disciple told the facts to his guru without hiding anything. He admitted that he lived out of alms. Having known the reason, Sage Dhaumya called the disciple and instructed thus, Upamanyu, henceforth you should return whatever food you collect in the form of alms to me. You must consume the food only after we consume. After returning the food so collected, you must go back to the forest again to take care of the cattle as per the previous practice and return to ashram at the designated time. As per the instructions of the Guru, Upamanyu started returning the food which he collected from the Brahmin families in that grazing area and share it with others in the ashram. After that, he was going again back to the forest for guarding the cattle. However, as he could not bear the pangs of hunger, he started seeking alms again and consumed the food. In due course of time, he appeared very hefty and healthier. Sage Dhaumya took cognizance of this fact and asked the reason for his well-nourished health. The honest disciple Upamanyu told the fact that after returning the food once collected to the sage, he was collecting and consuming the food again without the knowledge of his guru. Then Guru suggested to him to offer the food he collected for the second time also to him. The dedicated disciple Upamanyu did not get perturbed by his Guru's order. He started returning the food he collected for second time to Guruji affectionately. He never grieved for the fact that he remained on fasting. Surprising, there was no adverse effect either on his body or mind. However, he found it difficult to bear with hunger anymore. Once he saw a calf sucking milk from mother cow's udder, a part of which was flowing on the earth, thereby rendering useless. He stretched his hands to collect the defiled milk spilling out of calf's mouth and drank it. This practice continued for some time without the knowledge of anyone. His Guruji was under the impression that his disciple was fasting and performing his duty sincerely. However, he looked heftier and healthier than earlier to him. Guruji inquired with him again about the reason for gaining weight in spite of managing without food. To that, the honest disciple, without hiding anything, told the facts about himself drinking defiled milk of the cow. Guruji got upset after listening to him. He advised him that if one were to drink defiled milk, he would be subjected to flaws due to which one's wisdom would be lost. He warned the disciple that he should not repeat the act of drinking the defiled milk. The disciple sincerely carried out the instructions of his guru. However, the next day, when he left for guarding his cows, inflicted by hunger, he was in terrible distress. He could not get any food to quell his hunger. There at one spot he saw milk oozing from gigantic swallow vat, and he collected the same in a cup made out of leaves and started drinking it in a hurried manner. While drinking so, accidentally his eyes came into contact with that milk, and by virtue of its adverse effect, he lost his eyesight and became blind. Having lost his eyesight while he was searching for his cattle, he slipped into an abandoned well. He gave up the hopes of his survival. All the while he was worried about the cattle only, without bothering about himself. He had a guilty feeling in his mind for the fact that he could not properly carry out the instructions of his Guruji by performing the duty that was assigned to him. By that time, evening darkness engulfed the area. As usual, Upamanyu did not return to ashram with the cattle. Sage Dhaumya got worried about his disciple's fate. He stepped into the forest in search of his disciple and intensely searched for him there. However, there was no trace of his disciple. Then, in a raised voice, he called his disciple by his name with a plea that he should return immediately. The search was on. The disciple heard the voice of his guru and responded loudly by saying, Guruji, I have fallen down into an abandoned well here. Shri Guruji immediately arrived at the site of well and learnt everything from him. His heart melted by looking at the hapless condition of his dear and near disciple. To regain the lost vision, Guruji advised him to recite verses related to Ashwini twin gods who were divine physicians. As per the advice of the Guru, the disciple recited the verse of Ashwini gods. By the grace of Ashwini gods, instantly his blindness disappeared and he attained the vision. Upamanyu came out of that abandoned well and, catching hold of Guruji's feet, yogalized him by several means. Pleased by his devoted service, the sage Dhaumya placed his boon conferring hand on the head of the disciple and placed him thus. My dear disciple, I am delighted by your Guru Bhakti. Now you shall return to your home and enter the household life. There at home you shall observe all religious activities in an ideal manner. Your name and family will be known in all the directions. You will have several renowned disciples. Among them, disciple by name Uttunka will have great reputation. The Guru blessed him for attaining prosperity and knowledge of the scriptures. This way, Shri Guruji narrated the importance of having a Guru to that self-styled ascetic Brahmin. Shri Guruji, speaking to him, O Brahmana sage, the outstanding grace of Guru works this way. Nothing is impossible for a man who has earned the grace of Guru. However, to that person who abuses Guru, there is neither this world nor the eternal world. One should never criticize Guru as it becomes a cause for his downfall. A disciple should be free from egoistic tendencies and be ever obedient to his Guru. You ought to have treated your Guru as Supreme God. You must have continued with that Guru whom you have accepted. Since you have abandoned your Guru, you are now bereft of peace of mind and contentment. You have landed in utter confusion. An aspirant, before accepting one as a Guru, must take as much precaution as possible. Having chosen a Guru once, he should not be changed hastily, even if it comes to losing one's own life. This way, Shri Guruji explained the importance of preceptor in the spiritual life and instructed him to surrender to his Guru and get engaged in service of Guru without a second thought and reservation. The advice of Sri Narsingh Saraswati Guruji had tremendous influence on the disciple. His mind was enriched by wisdom. All the doubts in his mind were cleared. The doors to eternal path were opened to him. He repented for practicing perfidy against his Guru and also showing disrespect to him. Even he went to the extent of committing suicide for the crime he committed against his Guru. He saluted his Guru and prayed to him for his redemption. As that Brahmin aspirant profusely repented for his crimes, his sins were extinguished instantly. Once again, he placed his head on the holy feet of Sri Narsingh Saraswati Guruji, the ocean of kindness, and prayed for his protection. At that moment, 8 types of noble feelings sprung in his body. Shri Guruji appreciated the Brahmin's commitment to the principle and was pleased on him. Shri Guruji laid his boon conferring hand on his head. He was enlightened. He mastered all Vedas and scriptures instantly. Shri Guruji instructed that Brahmin this way: O Brahman, you need to go to your Guru just now and thinking that he is the form of me and considering that Guru as myself, surrender to him. You must worship him with firm determination and single pointed dedication without differentiating between two of us. Take him to be your benefactor. Having got convinced, the Brahmin went back to his Guru and saluted after meeting him. His Guru was pleased with him. Shri Guruji left Vaijanath Kshetra and from there arrived at Bhillavadi Kshetra, an abode of goddess Bhuvaneshwari. Shri Guruji lived there beneath the fig tree which was on the west coast of river Krishna in isolation for some time. Even though he led an isolated life there, the glory of Guruji attained celebrity status in all the directions. Here ends the 16th chapter in the most auspicious Shri Guru Charitra. Shri Gurudev Dutt Shri Guru Dattatreya Arpanamastu.